Kevin, hey.
Hey man, sorry about that. I was on some other link that I had. I didn't even. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Dude, no, it is great to have you. It's great to see you. And, if my geography is correct, you are in Nashville here, ready for a
I'm
show
in.
tonight.
Yeah, I'm in Nashville today, getting ready for a rock show. Yeah,
Hey,
just got out of the shower.
well,
Look at my hair; they're beautiful.
yeah, look at you, man. Hey, I'll tell you what, you look a lot better right now than you did. And I'm glad a good transition here than the last time we hung out, which was at Rocklahoma 2021. And look at us.
Yeah,
Not quite the great dapper smiles that you see here. We were I was trying to maybe put my hand and like, oh, you're like, I don't know. I mean, that was just a terrible time. I hated that time and
it was.
time period. It was
It
the
was bad.
worst.
It was bad. Not fun. Not fun at all.
We're having fun this year. The Loaded Tour is going on right now. You guys have been at it for about a little over about 2 weeks now. So the tour looks like it's been outstanding. Great venues, huge crowds. What's it been like for you out on the road so far?
It's been amazing, man. I think that when I got the phone call about this tour being offered to me, and I had decided that I was wrapping it up last year. The opportunity to tour with Gavin and Jerry at the same time was just something I couldn't pass up, and it has superseded my expectations tenfold, man. It's just been an absolute blast. Both, Gavin's entire crew, the band, they're all such lovely people. Jerry's band crew, same thing. It's a really kind of it's an interesting tour. A lot of times you don't know what to expect, and I think that I went into this with a little bit of caution because I had never done a really extensive tour with either band. So I'm pleasantly surprised about how much fun it's been, and the audiences have been amazing. Singing, Tim Montana's opening, and his set's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a little tired, voice is a little worked up, but I think that's mainly because the first 5 shows were in smoke-filled states, Idaho and Oregon, Colorado, and I think we saw in Utah. So I've kind of beat myself up a bit with that, but other than that, everything else is working just fine.
That's interesting you say that because like the only other singer I've ever heard really talk about that is Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
About the smoke and like he's like stop shows and like what the hell's this like, and so that's obviously a thing. Most people just don't even consider that, but it's a thing.
Yeah, it's hard on you. It's like if it's just like smoking cigarettes, kind of you're out there in an environment where there's
Wow.
just so many particles in the air and embers that are, dried up, floating around ash and stuff. And it gets in those vocal cords. It can be a real pain in the butt.
God dang, yeah, it's the things that the average fan doesn't think about that you guys go through. But yeah, this tour, it's going to be here. I'm in Kansas City, but tomorrow in St. Louis, I'm
Yeah.
heading over for the show, man. Can't wait to have you at St. Louis Music Park is the venue. I don't think you guys have ever played there because it's pretty new. And I mean, it is gorgeous. You're going to love it. It is a tremendous venue, one of the best I've seen in the entire state of Missouri. So tomorrow in St. Louis, you,
That's
Jerry
awesome.
Cantrell, Tim Montana, and Bush, it's going to be tremendous. So
Yeah,
excited
it'll be a
about
lot of
that, my
fun.
friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude, this is great. So like you have dates currently that kind of take you into September.
Mhm.
I guess the easy question, the one that you probably get asked every time is, well, what's next? What's beyond that? Is there going to be something beyond that?
No, I think I'm pretty much, I'm pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I'm done with this after this tour. I've got the
Wow.
2 dates in September that are Arkansas, I believe, and a festival down in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But then I've got, the only thing I'll be doing from now on is I'm releasing a bourbon with my buddy Nick called Lost Marbles. That comes out, I believe, in October or November, something like that. And then I've got my charity Riptide Society, which that will be something that I will continue to do for the rest of my life. That I'll play acoustically at those. This year I've got Ed Rollin from Collective Soul. I've got Brett, former lead singer Fuel. Brett Scallion's coming out to do it with me, and so that's something that I will be doing for as long as I can. But other than that, touring and making records and all that, that's done. I'm done with it. Yeah.
Well, what a legacy, what a lineage. And, I'm here in Kansas City where I knew about Candlebox because of your connection to Johnny Dare and 98.9 The
Yeah.
Rock here in Kansas City. I think you guys played one of the first rock fests here, like at Longview Lake somewhere. Like it was
Yeah.
insane. That's like
Yeah.
my first memory ever of Candlebox ever was that show.
That was a great show. That was one of my favorite memories. And I mean, it's like I think Kansas City and St. Louis and just kind of the Midwest has always been so gracious to us. And I don't know why, but I'm just so grateful that that I've been able to do this for 30 plus years. And it has a lot to do with radio stations like that just would take a chance on a young band like Candlebox, and really gave us our start, gave us our break. And I don't know how bands are doing it right now. I know the social media and all that sort of thing is like what a lot of bands are focusing on to try and get out there. But God, it's got to be really difficult. I'm just so we were so lucky to have that chance and that opportunity, man. And I that was a blast. That show, I'll never forget that show. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah, that was like my indoctrination because like I'm coming out of the 80s where I'm only 40 right now. So like,
Yeah,
I'm just listening to whatever. I'm a Poison and Motley Crue fan and like all that stuff. And I remember
yeah,
seeing you guys on David Letterman with a friend, and I'm like, I didn't really know Nirvana or anything like that yet. I was still buying like the Black Album and Use Your Illusions and
yeah.
Slave to the Grind and all that. And I saw you guys really first, and I'm just like, this is so different. It was like, what song did you guys play on Letterman? It was Don't You.
Well,
It was Don't
yeah,
You, right?
that was the
Yeah.
first time, and then the second time was Far Behind.
Yeah. So like that really, and like I'm sure this is a story you probably get a lot where someone's like, I saw that and like that just like completely erased kind of what I knew. And I was like, this is going to be different and exciting going forward. So
Yeah, and it's interesting. I my best friend who I grew up with in San Antonio before I moved to Seattle, he called me. He had moved to Australia. His mom had married an Australian guy, and he had moved to Australia, and I hadn't seen him since like 1984. And of course, this is 10 years later, 1994. He calls the hotel I'm staying at in New York. He called my parents, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's at the Riga." He called the hotel. I answered the phone. He goes, "Hey Kev, it's Jeff," and I'm like, "Jeff who?" He's like, "Fernald," and I'm like, "What? Where are you?" He goes, "I'm in Australia." He goes, "I just watched you on Letterman. What the hell?" And I was like, "Oh my God," like it's so crazy that one simple thing reconnected me to my best friend, and he ended up moving back to the States and came to work with us on the Metallica tour as a tour assistant and stuff. So a lot of cool stuff happens when you do those types of shows, and again, great memories. Letterman was so great to us and so cool, and a lot of people found out about Candlebox because of that, and it was a great opportunity for us.
God, it was that. And then my best friend had a Candlebox poster. You'd know the one if I had a image of it. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
you front and center. It's got the yellow Candlebox. It's white background. And like, I just
yeah.
remember I was like, what the hell? Like I've got it. Like it's not Motley Crue. It's not Rat. Like, I don't know. What is this? And so
But
like
it had long hair.
yeah. Oh, definitely. You had the long hair and,
Yeah,
good looking and dapper as ever back then, of course, still are.
I'm
But
trying.
you guys released last year the album, The Long Goodbye. And like,
Mm.
I can't, no, it's been a year. I think that to have a year to kind of reflect back on it, I think that this album will stand the test of time as a Candlebox classic. And you guys still play a
Oh,
song
thank
like
you.
Elegante in your set, which I think Elegante is one of my favorite Candlebox songs. It's in my top 5. It will forever be. I love that song. Like it's so, I don't know, it's so layered and emotional and kind of, I don't know, like that song's, it's up there for me.
Thank you. We're playing that tomorrow. Yeah, that song was really interesting. It was inspired by a band that I really love from Australia called Atlas Genius. I
Mm,
think what we did with this record was we wanted to tell my story. The guys in the band, when we sat down and talked about all this, it was really there was like, look, we want to help you tell your story, the 30 plus years that you've been doing this, and how do you want to do that? And I said, well, I really want to pull from my most influential and inspirational songs, the stuff that I love, the music that I love, that has grown with me over the years, and the things that I've grown with. And so that song was inspired by this band Atlas Genius that I absolutely adore. I think they're one of the coolest, most interesting Australian rock and roll bands out. And we kind of just said, how would Candlebox write a song like this? And that's what we did. We actually wrote it at a sound check in I think we were in Savannah, Georgia, and I had this little guitar riff, which is at the beginning of the song. And I said to the guys, it's like, God, this is what I'm feeling. And we literally wrote it in about 30 minutes. And the lyrics came to us in the studio. And before I knew it, we were done with it. So that's what I find is, with Candlebox has always been the special songs when they happen like that. Far Behind happened the same way. It was within 30 minutes, the song was done. So I think that's probably why that song will be, in most people's minds as a classic Candlebox track, because it feels like us, even though it doesn't sound like us. It feels like what we would write.
that's very interesting. I do agree with that. And I think it does sound like, I think it does something that could fit into a lot of different eras of Candlebox, even the early
Mhm.
days or modern. It's kind of both.
Yeah.
When you're weighing your options, Kevin, about how to end this tour, in this band, in this legacy, was there a lot of weighing your options as far as like, hey, we got this big tour that's going to go out in front of, 10, 15,000 people a night with Bush and Jerry Cantrell? Or was there a part of you that's like, hey, we want to do on our own, we want to do an hour and 45-minute set in theaters? Like how did you weigh that and decide to kind of go out this way?
Well, I mean, it was really about how much time do we have, this year with the summer, you know that there's so many competition, there's so much competition out there with bands and touring. So for me, I really was like, I don't want to go out and have to struggle with having to play an hour and 45 minutes every single night, 5 nights a week. That's really, really hard. I'm 55 years old. I did it last year with Three Doors Down. Excuse me. I had so many shows in between shows we were doing with them. We were headlining. So I really just said, the opportunity to go out and play a 45-minute set in front of 15,000 people with some of my favorite musicians and favorite friends and closest friends is how I want to do it. So it really was not a difficult decision. It was much easier than I had assumed it would be or thought it would be. And it seems to be working out just fine. I mean, I'm wrapping this up September 15th at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, which I've never played, and it's a dream come true. I mean, if it was the Hollywood Bowl, that would just be even more icing on the cake, but it's pretty damn close. And,
Yeah.
So just looking at that was really an easy decision for me.
Bush has always been one of my favorite bands. They exploded on the scene a little while after you guys, about a year. 16 Stone came out, but they're not from Seattle. Obviously, they're from England, so they come out like, and they sort of existed on the outside of the whole grunge scene. There wasn't like, oh, it's Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Candlebox and Bush. They kind of existed on the outside, but now that I feel like they've had a life in this last, 10 years. Gavin Rossdale, to me, one of the great frontmen, one of the great singers, one of the great, high energy, all of it. Like Bush is one of those bands that, they just keep getting better, it seems like, as the years go on here.
Yeah, it's true. And their show is amazing, man. It's the sound, everything, the lights, it is a spectacular show. I'm so glad that we're part of this tour. It's really rad.
That is, it's so awesome. And Kevin, I tell you, I know you got a show tonight, trying to rest the voice. I don't want to keep you too long. So before I let you go, I got to hit you with my final 4 drum roll, 4 quick questions, and you give us what comes to mind. We'll have some fun with it, and hope this isn't the last time we get to talk to you, man, because there's still a lot we could get into. And as the years go on, there's going to be, gosh, you said you're only 55 years old, man. You got a whole life to live after this retirement thing. So
maybe,
yeah, dude. So what is the first concert you ever remember attending, like on your own?
My first concert was Dead Kennedy's Black Flag and Butthole Surfers in San Antonio, Texas.
Wow. So you still lived, that's before you moved to Seattle then, obviously. So.
Yeah. My dad took a job in Seattle with an old boss when I was 14. So we moved up there in 85.
Wow.
84. Yeah.
What is the first album you remember buying with your own money?
Kiss Alive.
That's a great answer. And I am a huge fan. My first one was Kiss Alive 3. Shows the age difference. Yeah. I was like, I just kind of looked at it. I was like, God, there's all these great songs on it. And it's 80s songs too. I'm a big 80s Kiss fan. I'm a weirdo. So yes, there you go. We're kind of similar in that regard.
Oh, I love the 80s. I love the 80s Kiss. Dynasty is one of my favorite records.
Dude, I just went and saw Chris Jericho, who has an 80s Kiss cover band called Quarantine. I just went and saw him in Ohio, and it was insane. I love it. I loved it all. So, Okay, Kevin, you can sing one set with one band in history. It doesn't matter what, doesn't matter who, living or dead. You could sing one set with one band. Who are you singing with?
Led Zeppelin.
That's the second person that said that this week to me, and it was Tommy Clufetos, the drummer from like Ozzy and Rob Zombie and all that, said the same thing. So maybe we get you two together and we can make that happen. He's on drum. Since John Bonham's no longer with us, so we could work that in. Maybe Robert lets you step in there. No problem there.
That'd be cool. I'd sing harmonies with Robert. That's what I would do.
There you go. That's good. That'd be a good compliment, I think, you two. Last one, and this won't work because I don't know this. So the question may have to pivot, but are you a sports fan? Did you grow up a sports fan? Do you have an NFL team? Anything like that?
Yeah.
Who you cheering for? What's your team?
Cowboys has been my team since I was a little kid.
Really?
I hate them. I hate them
so
much because
you hate him now.
Jerry Jones. It's because Jerry Jones, man. He's ruining the team.
You got some Super Bowls in the 90s there.
That's it. That's it though, man. It's like, ever since he's taken over the team, they haven't won.
Well, I'm here in Kansas City enjoying a bit of a golden age here with Patrick Mahomes and stuff. So we're trying to ride that out as Longest
Oh, what a
possible.
dynasty. That team is, I mean, that's good. That's a dynasty, man. It's awesome.
I always dreamed though when I was a kid in the '90s, like is a Chiefs Cowboys Super Bowl. The Chiefs were really good in the '90s, but didn't get to a Super
Yeah.
Bowl. That was always like my thought, like would happen. Chiefs Cowboys, maybe this
I
year.
would have I would have loved to have seen that as well. And I mean, listen, you never know with these teams and coaches and stuff. I mean, it can turn around, and I would love to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, and I would love to see them play the Chiefs. It would be an amazing game.
Dude, let's do it. I gotta throw in one more because I forgot to mention the deluxe edition, the longest goodbye, is
A
out
little
now.
longer
The
goodbye.
a little the
Yeah,
longest goodbye, a little longer goodbye. It's like a deluxe edition of the long
yeah,
goodbye. And
yeah.
it's a digital release. Like talk about that and kind of I think you threw in some live stuff on that and it's something that fans are going to want to pick up here.
Yeah, there's some tracks on there that were unreleased from the debut from the original album, and then there's two live tracks we recorded down in Santiago, Chile, which that's one of our favorite cities in the world to play. The fans are just nuts down there, so we recorded those two tracks, and yeah, and live. I mean, this. I guess if you listen to that, when you hear Candlebox live, we don't edit anything. We don't go back and fix stuff. It's, you get all the nuts and bolts with it, and I think it's really cool. Those two versions, Cell Phone Jesus and I believe it's Elegante, right? Isn't that the live version we did?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Just
just cool, man. I mean, that's us, plain and simple. That's how we are.
well, I'm proud of you guys and proud of you for everything in all these years and 31 years since the release of the debut. I know you're kind of leaning heavily on that, so can't wait to see tomorrow night. I'll see you, man, and enjoy the rest of the tour. Enjoy it all because these moments are, you'll remember them forever, and we sure will as fans as well, Kevin. So thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
on and being a good friend of the show. We appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, brother. It's nice to see you again. I'll see you
You
tomorrow.
bet. Yes, that sounds great. Thanks.
Bye.